Welcome back to the Sunday Live studio, and we are hosting Rachel Ruto on the show tonight. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for making time.
Thank you, Julie.
This is your first live interview.
Yes, it is, Julie.
Okay, don't be scared. Be comfortable. People want to know a lot about you.
Okay.
Just relax.
Okay.
Let's start with, who is Rachel Ruto, the woman? It's been about a year in office, and you've been doing a lot, and we'll come to all that. But first of all, what drives you as a person?
I think for me, Julie, what really drives me is the women of this country. I'm very passionate about working with women because I came across working with women first time in 1997 when I helped my husband campaign in Eldoret North. And it is at that point that I thought it would really be nice to work with women, being on the ground and seeing what was happening.
Tell us some of the things that you've seen on the ground that have really touched you.
I think what happened especially that time is I grew up in a different part of the country, not from Eldoret North. I was brought up in the schemes of soy in a village called Likuyani. And I think for me, everybody seemed to be okay in a way because our parents did a lot of farming. They grew maize, they sold to cereals, and a lot of dairy farming. But when I went to help my husband campaign in 1997, you know, I really came across women. I remember this particular meeting that I went and talking to women and just asking them to vote for my husband. I looked at them and, you know, they really looked, you know, not, you know, poor, you know. Some of them did not have shoes, and for me that really surprised me.
And you thought, I need to do something in this
Yes,
space.
I actually made a prayer to God, and I told God that if my husband is appointed or is elected to become member of parliament for Eldoret North, then I would like to come back and do something with women especially.
You're very spiritual, and I've seen you speaking at the prayer breakfast. You've preached in different places. The deputy president was on this show last year, and I put a question to him. We all saw that moment when he broke down in church after the elections. It's very important to understand, I believe, what drives your leaders, what they believe in and what their values are, in order to know what kind of leaders they will make. And I asked him, what made you break down? He said, I'll write a book one day and explain. But you tell me, at that point, what had you all gone through and what were you feeling?
I think, well, I may not really know so much really what made him really break down, but I know that we have come from very far, you know. Born in Likuyani, him born in Kamagut, went to school in Kamagut Primary. I went to school in Likuyani Primary, and meeting in the university when he was in Nairobi and I was in Kenyatta University.
How old were you both when you met?
I think I was 20 and he was 22 when we met, because I got married at 23 and he was 25.
Married for how many years?
We've been married now for more than, I think, 25 years. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
So I think for us, it's really where the Lord has brought us from, you know, humble background, you know, just humble families. And we have just come up, you know, going to normal schools, you know, and I think it's really the Lord. So I think that day we must have looked back and seen the goodness of God, and we give God all the glory.
Wow.
Yes.
Let's talk about the year in office.
Yes.
It's been a whirlwind of a year. There have been the highs and some amazing things, but there have also been incredible lows, including the terrorist attack on Westgate and, you know, and several other things that have happened to our country, the fire at JKIA. We've held together as a nation. We've celebrated 50 years, which is what we did at the end of last year. But taking office in such a tumultuous time, what's it been like for you?
Well, I think I really want to appreciate, first of all, that God gave us an opportunity to serve the people of Kenya. It's been good, but it has also had a lot of challenges. And I remember especially, if I could just mention about the Westgate, you know, when it happened, we were in Netherlands, in The Hague. And I remember it was a Saturday, and we just wanted to go about our business. We had some MPs who had come and wanted to visit part of Netherlands just to see the farming there. And initially we thought it was a very small thing, but coming back, you know, we saw the way it continued and it was not stopping. And I remember when we woke up Sunday morning, I told my husband, we need to be home. We cannot stay in this country when our country is burning. And thank God, you know, the court was informed and we were able to come. It's been challenging, but I know God will make a way even for us in this country. Yes.
Let's talk about ICC.
Yes.
You're a family, you've got 6 children.
Yes.
You're going through this process. Yes, my director said 6, yes. And you might be asking that at home. You have 6 children, yes, and I'm being told you look awesome. But let's get to ICC now and what this has meant for you as an individual and for the Deputy President and the family.
Julie, the ICC thing has really been very difficult for us as a family. And I think, of course, initially when the names were given, personally, I was really in shock, you know, because I think I have been in my home, you know, I've been married to William for this many years, and you know, the things that they talked about ICC, and you know, the things, you know, they said happened in at even where we live, I did not see that. And I think for me, what gave me the confidence is that I knew that those things did not take place at all. You know, the guns they said he had, the meetings that they said he had at home. In fact, in the campaigns of 2007, my husband never campaigned in Eldoret North, you know, because he was doing the national campaigns. So he went all over the country and did not even have a chance even to campaign so much in Eldoret North, as much as the people really voted for him. So even when it was said, I knew that, you know, it is not true. So I think that gave me the confidence, and you know, I had to explain to the children many times, and I think for the children the worst thing was actually at school, because you know, I guess parents talked at home and the children used to hear, and when the other kids came to school, you know, they used to tell my children things like, you know, your father is going to jail, your father is going to be jailed, you'll never see him again. And especially the young ones, you know, we have a daughter who is 13, a son who is 15, and another daughter who is 17. Then they were in primary school. They were quite affected. In fact, even academically, they were really affected. But we have continued to put the children together, you know, because for us, family is very important. And they know, of course, that the father did not do what the ICC has claimed that he did. And we are moving on.
You're moving on. What are you expecting from this process, or what are your hopes?
My hopes is that it will come to an end very soon. That is the prayer of my heart, so that we can move on even as a family.
Let's talk about your development work, and you've told us you have a passion for women.
Yes.
Just looking at your, we went to your Facebook page to take a look at what you've been doing.
Yes.
First of all, very active on social media, which is interesting. But we noted that you've been all over the country, just even in the past 2 weeks. So, you know, Kisii, Butere, you've been in Meru, Trans Nzoia, Uasin Gishu, all over the place with Joy War. And doing a lot with table banking. First, let's start with Joy War. Tell us about that organization.
Okay. So maybe if I could just say a little bit, Julie, is when my husband became deputy president, I was told that I would have an office, you know, the office of the spouse of the deputy president. And of course, the first lady on the other side also has an office. And what we did then with the first lady is that we sat together and we agreed, you know, we realized that both of us were very passionate about the same things, you know, as mothers, you know, you're passionate about everything. And because we really wanted to do something for this country, we decided just to agree on what to do. So of course, the first lady, being the big sister, went first, and you know, she's running with maternal child health, things of environment, and that kind of thing. So I took the part of women economic empowerment, and that is what I'm running with. And what we did is that in my office, you know, we went the pillar way, where we are running with 3 pillars. The first pillar is women economic empowerment, which we are focusing on 3 areas. One is table banking, which I have been doing. The second one is public procurement opportunities for women, because you realize that the president gave the directive that 30% of all public procurement should be given to women, youth, and persons with disability. And then our third focus area is agribusiness. And then our second pillar is on child protection, where we look at issues of children, you know, children protection, you know, child labor, you know, FGM, and just things to do with children. And then our third pillar is internships and scholarships. So what we do is we try to get internships for young people who are in university, you know, to place them in organizations or in companies. And we especially focus on children who come from rural areas, you know, who are not really able to get these opportunities. And we also get scholarships for them. So maybe going back to table banking, is that I have been doing table banking, Julie, through Joyful Women Organization for the last 4 years. We started in Eldoret North.
This is before
yes,
you came
this actually we started, it was registered in 2009, and actually before all this, and we have been doing table banking just in the Eldoret North, where my husband was member of parliament. Table banking is a way, you know, women come together in their chamas, you know, we are allowed to register chamas, then through social services, you get a certificate, you have your constitution, you have your bylaws, you come together between maybe 15 to 35 women, And so in table banking, these women meet once a month, they put their savings on the table, and they borrow immediately, return back with interest, and the interest goes back to the group.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
So it's a new way, and people are trained on how to
Yes.
make the most out of this.
Actually, Julie, table banking is a government concept. It's a concept that was written by Poverty Eradication. In fact, it was first written in 1999, and then in 2004, it was again revisited by Poverty Eradication. And even the government has rolled it out in other places, you know, like Gatanga and Bondo.
Interesting,
Yes.
interesting. And people will want to know how to get in touch with your office, having said everything you're engaged with.
Okay.
We will give them the contacts in just a short while. But first, let me ask you this. As the wife of the Deputy President, do you believe that spouses have the ability to influence policy and influence change? What are your thoughts on that?
I really believe spouses have that chance to influence policy because, number one, you know, spouses should realize that, you know, God has also, the fact that your husband is in leadership.
Or your wife.
Yes. So your wife, I mean, as a wife also, you should, you're actually in leadership because you see, when you go anywhere to speak, you know, people would like to listen to you, you know, people would like to know what you're giving them and the new things that you're bringing them. So I want to believe that we actually, as spouses of politicians and leaders, can actually change policy. And just thinking is that when the Weather Fund was initially, you know, incepted, you know, the president came with the Weather Fund. I actually sat in the first meetings, you know, as the wife of the deputy president and someone who had also been working with grassroots women. And we were able to have meetings with people in treasury, you know, just to see. And then once the cabinet offices were formed, that is how we now handed over to the relevant ministries. So we are able to do that. And I know, Julie, our office is very new, but I know we really have potential. I have had some meetings with the UN, and I know there are things, you know, there are policies that are coming up that they would really like us to support in helping to see that actually these policies come to pass. So I know we are, like my office, I know we are still very new, but we are very determined to help in the policy change in this country, you know, for the positive.
Right. What you've been doing on social media is asking people to engage with you on transforming Kenya. What kind of feedback do you get from people? What do they say about the Kenya they want?
Well, I think people are very positive about the things that are coming into our country, and everybody wants to see, you know, a different Kenya, you know, a Kenya where, you know, people at least can have food. You know, we hear of Turkana and all these children that are going without food. I think what people really want is to see that the people in Kenya, at least every family can at least have at least 2 meals, if not 3, and they're very positive.
Okay.
Yes.
What would you say to people who are skeptical, those who say, listen, right now there is starvation, there are major issues with poverty? What would you say?
Well, I think let's be positive. Personally, as a person, I really believe that we need to be positive in everything. I just want to tell them, let's be positive and even give our leaders a chance to be able to lead this country, because I know good things are coming.
Okay.
Yes.
So we get to a few light questions now, and we're going to take some social media views that are coming in. I'm just going to have a look at the thoughts coming in and prepare the team in the background. If we do have Twitter feedback and from the other platforms, let's get it ready. I'm told it's coming in shortly. But what do you do for fun? Just looking at the schedule of the family,
Yes.
it looks like it's very difficult to fit family time in, and yet you seem to be someone who believes in those fundamental values. So how do you find time, and what do you do for fun?
We, at least as a family, Julie, we try to go on holiday when we get an opportunity. And for me, really, as a mother, I make sure that I'm at home, at least in good time, to be with my children. Like now, this year, I'm very sensitive because I have 2 candidates. Our daughter is in class 8 and we have another daughter in form 4. So I try as much as possible to come home. Like even when I travel out of town, I make sure I come back. You know, just fly maybe 12 in the morning, go do something and come back. And that is really helping us, you know, in the evening, you know, we pray together as a family. You know, we try to spend time, you know, I go to where the girls are reading and just, you know, just get to hear, you know, what they have to say in the evenings, you know.
Staying in touch with them, which
staying
is all
in touch
important.
with them, yes, yeah. So we really try to make time for the children, especially, as much as possible.
Children aside, what does the deputy president and his wife Rachel do to have fun? What do they do to have fun?
Like I know, for example, this Christmas, you know, we had sent the children out of the country because they really wanted, and we actually spent like 12 days together.
Wow.
We were in Nairobi,
Wow.
we went to the village, went to Mombasa for 2 days, and and that's what we've done. And what we also have purpose to do is, especially on Sundays, because during the week he's busy in the office and doing many things, we have really purpose that we will always go to church together.
Wow.
Yes.
We do have a problem in society right now where many families seem to be struggling with family, the idea of family, a lot of breaking families and fractured communities as a result. What do we need to do in terms of leadership to change the situation?
I think in terms of leadership, Julie, is, of course, first of all, I want to imagine that if we can really be examples as leaders, to be able to stay with the family, because I want to imagine that if there are any families that really have challenges, are really the families of leaders, because of this exposure and, everybody seeing them. But I want to imagine that as leaders, if we really lead by example, by just being together, tolerating one another, family is not an easy thing. But if we do that as leaders, then the other people, the citizens of our country are able to see that if our leaders are doing this, then we should also be able to do.
We're getting lots of feedback coming in, and somebody is saying, Cynthia Nyamai actually is saying, I'm loving Rachel Ruto on Citizen TV Kenya. She says, she's inspiring. I love her passion for women and for God. Other views coming in. I like her passion and focus, and her focus, that's Otenyo OF. And this is Time Is Now Services on Twitter saying, listening to the DP's wife, I'm glad we got people with this kind of thinking and experience into office. So your work is appreciated, but it can't be easy. It's not easy being in the center of the storm. It's not easy being in the limelight. It's not easy having a lot of responsibilities on your shoulders. What do you do in those moments where you just feel it's all becoming a little bit too much? How do you get inspiration to go on?
Julie, I take time off, There are days I don't go to the office, for example, like, when it's too much, I just take a break and just stay at home, wait for the children to come. But what I've also learned to do so much is just to, get my energies from God. Yeah, because I believe that, when you really draw your energies from God, it shall be well.
Wow.
Yes.
Every question has had God in the answer, which tells you what the center for Rachel is. We've got lots of views coming in. I'm going to try and just go through some of them for you. This is from a young man who says, thanks for the opportunity with Honorable Rachel. I'm making a humble request for help towards completion of my studies. I'm an orphan boy with a passion to study, but without anybody to help. Kindly tell me, what can I do? Can I even get a kibarua? This is the voice of hundreds of thousands of young people, if not millions, sadly, in Kenya. There's this gap in the education system where we lose so many between Standard 8 and Form 1. Again, we lose others between Form 4 and university. So you're doing something about it.
Yes.
You've got your scholarship program,
yes,
which you've just spoken about. But what are your thoughts on how we start to narrow that huge gap that is created in terms of opportunity for young people?
I think, Julie, like what the government has already started with is very good, the free primary education. And I think maybe what we should be thinking, and even the government should be thinking, is also trying to make education affordable, even in high school, so that we don't have this free primary education. We have many children go, and when it comes to high school, they are not able to go. And I know the government is actually making sure that this happens. But I also realized that the other day I was in Dandora, and I was being told 35% of, I think, children in Nairobi don't go to school. And this is free primary education. I think as leaders, starting from the MCS, coming to MPs, coming to, governors, senators, we really need to sensitize and, just give information and keep telling people to take their children to school. I think it's very important.
Do you think we need to, in a way, police each other? Is that part of it? Is part of saying what's happening with my neighbor? Why is this not happening? Or have we become a society where we just don't pay attention to what goes on in the house next door? I
think, of course, especially in the cities, that is what is happening. But I think maybe policing each other may really help so that we make sure that all the children go to school.
We talked earlier about connecting people with your office.
Yes.
So give us what contacts can the many people who are watching who want to get in touch with you, what contacts can they use?
We actually are at the official residence, our office at the official residence of the Deputy President in Karen. And I think maybe we'll give our email address.
Yes,
so
an
that,
email address
yes,
people
so
can
that
reach you.
People can have people write to us, because for sure we really have some opportunities that God has given us, like talking about scholarships. I just came back from Kuala Lumpur, where we were given 110 scholarships to give to needy students, you know, to go study in Kuala Lumpur. As much as not all of them are free 100%, we have at least 100 of them that can be shared 50-50. And so we should be able to really give them, because we really want to give to at least some children in the 47 countries. And these are actually law programs, you know, London School of Law in Kuala Lumpur, and also the business school, St. Mary's Business School. And we are also really looking for more and more. Of course, we are working with the Ministry of Education in making sure that these scholarships also get to the right students, you know, deserving students, needy, deserving students.
So just to the team, please let's get the contacts of the email ready, and we'll put them on the screen as soon as we can for you. How can you get in touch with the office? Please stand by for that. We'll have that for you in just a short while. For now, we want to welcome into studio a young girl called Erica Gashoka. Now, you may not have heard of her. She's just 16 years of age, but she's done incredible things, and we'd love to hear her story. Erica, please join us in studio. Welcome to Sunday Live.
Thank you.
Hi, Erica.
Wonderful to have you with us. I was told your story and I was blown away. And for the purposes of everybody watching today, you had a dream.
Yeah.
You wanted to make a difference. Let's start with the seed of the dream and tell us, what was your vision and what did you decide to do?
It all started when my mom used to come home from work, because she was a radio presenter, and she talked about how every day people would ask for donations of blood and for people to go and help them or their family members. And I found that really shocking, that how are we lacking blood in the country that people have to ask every day for other people to donate. And even during crises and stuff, we have to import blood. It just didn't make sense to me. So I thought, because blood is something that everybody has, so if we found a way which makes it easier for people to donate blood, then that would be amazing. And that's where the whole idea of the mobile blood unit came, because 70% of people who don't donate blood say it's because they go to hospital and they're turned away, or they don't know where to. So if they see the bus, they can just jump in and donate blood.
Right,
Easy.
it's convenient, it's easy. So what did you do? You decided to run the Chicago Marathon to raise money for the mobile blood unit.
Yeah.
Tell us about that. So you run it. How was it?
It was hard. It was so hard. I was training for about 2 weeks before that. Yeah.
2 weeks is short. Let's go to what you achieved. You run it. More importantly, what did you achieve as a result of running the marathon?
As a result, we got enough money for our own blood unit in Nairobi, and that was just so overwhelming, because it's pretty expensive, and our goal was met. Our goal was to get one.
How much money did you raise?
About $52,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
you put your mind into this.
yes.
You managed to achieve it with the support, presumably, of your family, who said she's not crazy. She's actually trying, and we need to support her. And tell us about the launch here in Nairobi.
With the launch here, I was so happy that the First Lady came on board, and that she was helpful, and she supported me, and she donated so much money to this. Yeah, so during the launch, when I walked around with her and went through the whole process, it was just like a dream coming true, in a sense, because I felt this is what I worked for, this is what I ran 42 km for, and it was overwhelming. Yeah.
You know, a seed of a dream is an important thing. Some people don't water their seeds. So perhaps one of the lessons here is, if you really do have a dream or a vision, water that dream or vision. But my question to you is, what gave you the bravery to take the first step and then the second step? Because very often you will have a dream and just think it can never happen. So what pushed you?
Honestly, my mom, because it's something that I've always said, I want to help people and I want to make Kenya a better place. But one day my mom asked me why I'm waiting. Why do I need to wait to be an adult to make a difference? And she challenged me and she said, if you want to make a difference, make it now. And yeah.
What do you think of this, Rachel?
I really think Judy's a very brilliant idea, and Erica is doing very well. And for me, thinking that she's only 16 years old, because she's very young, and in fact, just looking at her, if she's able to do this at 16 years, I don't know what she'll be able to do when she's my age. And it's a good thing, because as she says, blood is what is actually we require all the time. And just looking at her here, and Erica, I'm thinking you started with Nairobi, but I think you also need to think about all the counties, because
so a further challenge nowadays.
Yeah,
wow.
It's a brilliant idea.
Thank you for that, and I'm connecting you here now. So if you ever need Rachel Ruto, you have been connected. And we just want to take a moment before we come to the Twitter feedback on the interviews today to take a look at Mama Erica, who is in studio with us. And here she is. Do we have the camera on her? She's trying to run away from it. But let's say thank you, and the reason why we say thank you is because you've done a good job. Hats off, salute, asante sana, thank you. Yes, that in case you didn't know is radio presenter Shiko, who busts people constantly, and yes, and has done an excellent job with her daughter. Well done, Shiko. Very proud of you. I'm also quite inspired because we have 3 women sitting here today. I have 2 guests who are women, and so often we find it's men who are making the difference, who are in the forefront. So I'm humbled to have you both here with us today. Let's look at some Twitter feedback now. Let's see, can we have that on the screen? One second, I'm being told. I'll go to the @Julie Gishuru Twitter handle. No, we have the @CitizenTV Twitter handle here. Sir Rawlings says to Rachel Ruto, I love your simplicity, the sense of being down to earth. God bless you, ma'am, is what he has to say. Eric Yaho, we are praying for you, Rachel. Will you participate in the marathon involving the First Lady? Excellent question. We'll put that to Rachel in just a short while. And Chris Bethwell says, I like her eloquence and passion. Thank you, Chris. Doug Nyash, the DP's wife, looking good and so eloquent. Great stuff indeed. Keep doing great to the women empowerment programs. One more for now. Kanini Joanne says, listening to Rachel Ruto is very inspiring. This woman is a prayer warrior. @Julie Gishuru, and she says, bless you, ladies. Thank you so much. Bless you right back, Joanne. What do you think of that feedback when you see people? They're affirming you, basically.
I appreciate the feedback.
It's rare. It doesn't happen often. So it's important to take a moment just to realize that it means you're doing something right. Erica, we're going to get feedback on you in just a short while. Earlier, people were asking if you do have a Twitter handle or a way they can reach you online. What would that be?
I have a page on Facebook called the Lengai Foundation.
Lengai Foundation.
Yes.
So you can find Erica Gashoka at Lengai Foundation on Facebook. Look for that now. See what she's done. And maybe start to ask ourselves, if a young 16-year-old can do this, how much can we achieve? And for all the young ones watching, don't wait to be an adult. You can do it right now. We're going to take a short break. Thank you for staying with Sunday Live, and thank you both for joining us in the studio.
Thank you.